All right, welcome back to round two. So I'm just going to give it's going to go in the same order, so I'll give you first three a heads up here, but then I'll introduce Dante. So number one, we'll have Ella, then we'll have Donia, and then Nicholas. So just be prepared. But first, I'm so excited that Dante Collins is here and will be performing some of their own poetry. So let's welcome Dante to the stage.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for welcoming my voice into this space. This is sweet. Would you join me in something? Repeat after me. I am alive. I am alive. I am alive. In this space. In this space. In this space. In this space. Therefore this space. Must be alive. Must be alive. Sweet. I come from a family of tap dancers. Rehearsal. The flap is done with the tip of the shoe. The ball tap, the toe, is sudden, soft. Swing the foot forward to brush, then flick is careful though deliberate, quick. Should mimic the keen click of a pin. Ta-ta. Would be a ball change if you shift the weight, though the sound requires surgery, an incision in the silence. The ear permitting the ankle's sharp sweep, a release. Control, breath, release, she says. My mother, stopping the music to adjust Tamika's arms, Caro's shoulders. Taisha's laces are untied but doesn't dare look down. Ta-ta, my mother, a drill sergeant of sound, hears hesitation, an unsure shuffle, a skimped beat. Again she shouts, don't cheat. Tap is as much about intention as it is integrity. Is as much about the ground as it is about gravity, to be both bird and boulder, to sink then soar in seconds. The body, a decibel bracketing the quiet. The body, birthing vibration. Aluminum against oak wood. Earth grinding earth. And my mother conducting a meticulous stampede. She patterns popping oil, says cadence is clinical. Each step sterile, cleaned, ta, cleaned, ta, ta, ta. My siblings now sweating in sync, eyes forward, facing the mirrors, the basement air thin with heat. Again her voice, cutting through percussion, rattles with the mirror's return, her tongue, metal in her mouth, the whole house buckling on beats, pulsing through copper pipes. So how could she really expect me to fall asleep? Me, 8 and eager, up past midnight, all thud and twirl and overthinking, rancid with mismatched rhythm and almost meter. My bedroom a cluttered auditorium. I perform for no one. Barefoot but promised my shoes next summer. Then I can dance downstairs, look and listen. I can make thunder too, I think, while pressing my ear to the floor. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dante. That's amazing. Yeah. I just want to woo. That was great. All right. So are we ready, poets? Yeah? All right. I think I need to hear something, though. Can we do the call and response we did yesterday? Okay, so we're going to do poetry. Then you're going to say out loud. Okay. Poetry. Out loud. Poetry. Out loud. Poetry. Out loud. Woo. Thank you. All right. Feels good in here. All right, so on deck we have Nicholas Sleepins. Up next, Donia Oabu Omo. But right now we have Ella Grimm from Marshall High School. Let's welcome Ella.
Every Single Day by John Straley, after Raymond Carver's Hummingbird. Suppose I said the word springtime, and I wrote the words King Salmon on a piece of paper and mailed it to you. When you opened it, would you remember that afternoon we spent together in the yellow boat, when the early whales were feeding and we caught our first fish of the year? Or would you remember that time off Cape Flattery when you were a little girl, your father smoking, telling stories as he ran the boat, then the tug and zing of that very first fish spooling off into the gray-green world, you laughing and brushing back your hair before setting the hook? I know I am hard to understand sometimes, particularly when you're standing at the post office with only a piece of paper saying King Salmon on it. But just think of it as a promissory note. And that electric tug, that thrill, pulling your mind into deep water, is how I feel about you every single day.
Thank you, Ella. All right. So yesterday I mentioned Button Poetry, and I just want to say I think I mentioned them about their Instagram account if you ever want to watch really great videos of spoken word. And I will say you can see videos of Dante on there. It's really great. So again, good Instagram recommendation. So on deck we have Isabella Callery. Up next we have Nicholas Leapins. But right now we have Donia Abu Omo from Columbia Heights High School in Columbia Heights. Let's welcome Donia.
Bleeding Heart by Carmen Jimenez Smith. My heart is bleeding. It bleeds upward and fills my mouth up with salt. It bleeds because of a city in ruins. The chair still warm from sister's body, because it will all be irreproducible. My heart bleeds because of baby bear not finding mama bear. And it bleeds to the tips of my fingers like I painted my nails crimson. Sometimes my heart bleeds so much I am a raisin. It bleeds until I am a quivering ragged clot. Bleeds at the ending with the heroine in her sunken cancer eyes. At the ending with the plaintive flute over smoke, choked, killing fields. I'm bleeding a river of blood right now, and it's wearing a culvert in me for the blood. My heart rises up in me, becomes the cork of me, and I choke on it. I am bleeding for you and for me and for the tiny babies in the IED blown leg. It bleeds because I'm made that way, all filled up with blood. My sloppy heart, a sponge filled with blood to squeeze onto any circumstance. Because it is mine, it will always bleed. My heart bled today. It bled onto the streets and the steps of City Hall. It bled in the pizza parlor with a useless jukebox. I've got so much blood to give inside and outside of any milieu. Even for a bad zoning decision, I'll bleed so much, you'll be bleeding. All of us bleeding, in and out, like it's breathing or kissing, and because it is righteous and terrible and red.
Thank you, Donia. So one of the recommendations that I think came from multiple coworkers and multiple judges was one that I actually said yesterday, so I said it first. But the Slowdown Show is a really great podcast by Tracy K. Smith, who's the U.S. Poet Laureate. And it's a really short, I think it's like 5 minutes or so podcast, and it's just a beautiful little pause in your day for poetry. So everyone who listens to podcasts, go look it up and start listening. All right, ready? So on deck we have Asha Omar. Up next, Isabella Callery. And right now we have Nicholas Leapins from St. Paul Academy in Summit School in St. Paul. Let's welcome Nicholas.
The Windhover by Gerard Manley Hopkins. To Christ our Lord. I caught this morning's minion, kingdom of daylight's dauphin, dapple dawn-drawn falcon in his riding of the rolling level, underneath him steady air, and striding high there, how he rung upon the rein of a wimpling wing in his ecstasy. Then off forth on swing, as a skate's heel sweeps smooth on a bow bend. The hurl and gliding rebuffed the big wind. My heart in hiding stirred for a bird, the achieve of, the mastery of the thing. Brute beauty and valor and act, O air, pride, plume, here, buckle. And the fire that breaks from thee then, a billion times told lovelier, more dangerous, O my chevalier. No wonder of it. Sheer plod makes plow down Cillian shine, and blue bleak embers, ah, my dear, fall, gall themselves, and gash gold vermilion.
Thank you, Nicholas. I should say, all of these recommendations I'm just throwing your way right now, I will send to all of your teachers so that you can have them in a written place too, so you don't have to be writing them down. But, all right, so on deck we have Anna Kochever. Up next we have Asha Omar. And right now we have from Arcadia Charter School in Northfield, Isabella Callery. Let's welcome Isabella.
ABC Darien requiring further examination of Anglican Seraphim subjugation of a wild Indian reservation by Natalie Diaz. Angels, don't come to the reservation. Bats, maybe, or owls, boxy, mottled things. Coyotes, too. They all mean the same thing. Death. And death eats angels, I guess. Because I haven't seen an angel fly through this valley ever. Gabriel? Never heard of him. Know a guy named Gabe, though. He came through here one powwow and stayed. Typical Indian. Sure, he had wings. Jailbird that he was. He flies around in stolen cars. Wherever he stops, kids grow like gourds from women's bellies, like I said. No Indian I've ever heard of has ever been or seen an angel. Maybe in a Christmas pageant or something. Nazarene Church holds one every December, organized by Pastor John's wife. It's no wonder Pastor John's son is the angel. Everyone knows angels are white. Quit bothering with angels, I say. They're no good for Indians. Remember what happened last time some white god came floating across the ocean? Truth is, there may be angels. But if there are angels up there, living on clouds or sitting on thrones across the sea wearing velvet robes and golden rings, drinking whiskey from silver cups, we're better off if they stay rich and fat and ugly and exactly where they are in their own distant heavens. You better hope you never see angels on the res. If you do, they'll be marching you off to Zion or Oklahoma or some other hell they've mapped out for us.
Thank you, Isabella. So it really does take a village, like they say, to make Poetry Out Loud happen. So I just want to give a few thanks to people. So first of all, the Minnesota State Arts Board, again. We are so lucky to have a really thriving, amazing arts board that supports and funds these types of programs. So thank you to Sue Jens and everyone at the State Arts Board. I want to also give a special shout out to the wonderful intern for Poetry Out Loud this year, Shantoria Monet Cobbs. You want to give a little wave? She's been my saving grace. So thank you so much, Shantoria. It's been wonderful to have you as a part of this program. Also in the back, we have Marian Gomez, who is running tech and audio and everything wonderful. She's wonderful. And we have our volunteer Sharon, who is at the front desk. Thank you, Sharon. And we have my friend and coworker Rachel doing scorekeeping. So really, it's just been a full staff effort to really make this happen. And I really just want to give a little shout out and round of applause to all those people. All right, so on deck, we have Grace Alferts. Up next, Anna Kochiver. But right now, from Uba Medical Academy, we have Asha Omar. Let's welcome Asha back.
The Farmer by W.D. Earhart. Each day I go into the fields to see what is growing and what remains to be done. It is always the same thing. Nothing is growing. Everything needs to be done. Plow, harrow, disc, water, pray till my bones ache and hands rub blood raw with honest labor. All that grows is the slow, intransigent intensity of need. I have sown my seed on soil guaranteed by poverty to fail. But I don't complain, except to passers-by who ask me why I work such barren earth. They would not understand me if I stooped to lift a rock and hold it like a child, or laughed, or told them it is their poverty I labor to relieve. For them, I complain. A farmer of dreams knows how to pretend. A farmer of dreams knows what it means to be patient. Each day I go into the fields.
Thank you, Asha. So back to some of our wonderful judge recommendations. So Siobhan recommends Eve Ewing's Twitter, which is at EVEEWING. And she says she's a Chicago-based Black woman offering writing career advice and really great memes, which we all need more of. So anyway, another recommendation. All right. So on deck, we have Alina Vang. Up next, Grace Alferts. And right now, we have from Arcadia Charter School, Anna Kochiver. Let's welcome Anna back.
Quite Frankly, by Mark Halliday. They got old. They got old and died. But first, they composed plangent depictions of how much they lost and how much cared about losing. Meanwhile, their hair got thin and more thin as their shoulders went slumpy. But not before the photo albums got arranged by them. Arranged with a niftiness, not just 2 or 3, but 18 photo albums. Yes, 18 eventually. 18 albums proving the beauty of them, and not someone else, them and their relations and friends. Incontrovertible. Playing croquet in that Bloomington yard, floating on those comic inflatables at Dow Lake, giggling at the Dairy Queen, waltzing at the wedding, building a Lego palace on the porch, holding the baby beside the rental truck, leaning on the Hemingway statue at Pamplona, discussing the eternity of art in that Sardinian restaurant. Yes, and so, quite frankly, at the end of the day, they got old and died. Sure. But quite frankly, how much does that matter in view of the 18 photo albums, big ones, 13 inches by 12 inches, each full of such undeniable beauty.
Thank you, Anna. All right. So from Yana, we have some recommendations of podcasts. Nancy, which is a podcast about queer stories and great storytelling. Reveal is another podcast she recommends, saying, I love Al Letson, and he is a poet. So, and then she also recommended The Slowdown again. It's amazing. So, all right, we're good. So on deck, we have Olivia Johnson. Up next, Alina Vang. And right now, from Washburn High School, we have Grace Ulferts. Let's welcome Grace back.
The Chimney Sweeper. When My Mother Died, I Was Very Young, by William Blake. When my mother died, I was very young. And my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry. Weep, 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 weep. So your chimneys I sweep, and in soot I sleep. There's little Tom Dacre, who cried when his head that curled like a lamb's back was shaved. So I said, Hush, Tom, never mind it, for when your head's bare, you know that the soot cannot spoil your white hair. And so he was quiet. And that very night, as Tom was a-sleepin', he had such a sight that thousands of sweepers, Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack, were all of them locked up in coffins of black. And by came an angel who had a bright key, and he opened the coffins and set them all free. Then down a green plain, leaping, laughing they run, and wash in a river and shine in the sun. Then, naked and white, all their bags left behind, they rise upon clouds and sport in the wind. And the angel told Tom, if he'd be a good boy, he'd have God for his father and never want joy. And so Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark and got with our bags and our brushes to work. Though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm.
Thank you, Grace. So, more recommendations. Are you guys, I hope this is cool. This is all I got. So, anyway, from Dante, another Poetry Foundation podcast, Versus, as in the abbreviation VS, which it features poets Franny Choi and Dinez Smith. So, and Dinez is actually a local poet. Is Franny? I don't know. No, but Dinez is. So it's another great podcast to check out and add to your list. We're good? Okay. So on deck, we have Paige Yanni. Up next, Olivia Johnson. But right now, from Johnson Senior High School, we have Alina Vang. Let's welcome Alina.
April Love by Ernest Downson. We have walked in love's land a little way. We have learnt his lesson a little while. And shall we not part at the end of day with a sigh, a smile? A little while in the shine of the sun, we were twined together, joined lips, forgot how the shadows fall when the day is done and when love is not. We have made no vows, there will none be broke. Our love was free as the wind on the hill. There was no word said we need wish unspoke. We have wrought no ill. So shall we not part at the end of day, who have loved and lingered a little while, join lips for the last time, go our way with a sigh, a smile.
Thank you, Alina. When you do a live performance like this, you never know what you're going to get in terms of the audience and the environment around you. So you might have audience noise, or in our case, you might have a building that sounds like it's erupting when the heating system turns on. So kudos to all of you for rolling with those just natural things that happen in any environment. So on deck, we have Abdurrahman Farah. Up next, Paige Yanni. And right now, from Harbor City International School, Olivia Johnson.
To Myself by Franz Wright. You are riding the bus again, burrowing into the blackness of Interstate 80, the sole passenger with an overhead light on. And I'm with you. I'm the interminable fields you can't see, the little lights off in the distance, in one of those rooms we are living, and I'm the rain and the others all around you, and the loneliness you love, and the universe that loves you specifically, maybe, and the catastrophic dawn, the nicotine crawling on your skin. And when you begin to cough, I won't cover my face. And if you vomit this time, I will hold you. Everything's going to be fine, I will whisper. It won't always be like this. I'm going to buy you a sandwich.
All right, thank you, Olivia. So back to recommendations. This is one that came in from multiple people as well at the Loft. So from poets.org, you can sign up for a poem a day in your email, and it's the most wonderful thing. So it's exactly what it sounds like. Every day they email you a poem, and usually it also includes clip of the actual author reading their poetry. So it's a really great thing if you like spoken poetry, like we all do. All right, so on deck we have Briar Weston. Up next, Abdurrahman Farah. But right now, from Washburn High School, we have Paige Yanni. Welcome, Paige.
Sheltered Garden by H.D. I have had enough. I gasp for breath. Every way ends, every road, every footpath leads at last to the hill crest. Then you retrace your steps, or find the same slope on the other side. Precipitate. I have had enough. Border pinks, clove pinks, wax lilies, herbs, sweet cress. Oh, for some sharp swish of a branch. There is no scent of resin in this place, no taste of bark, of coarse weeds, aromatic, astringent, only border on border of scented pinks. Have you seen fruit under cover that wanted light? Pears wadded in cloth, protected from the frost. Melons almost ripe, smothered in straw. Why not let the pears cling to the empty branch? All your coaxing will only make a bitter fruit. Let them cling, ripen of themselves, test their own worth. Nipped, shriveled by the frost, to fall at last, but fair, with a russet coat. Or the melon, let it bleach yellow in the winter light, even tart to the taste. It is better to taste of frost, the exquisite frost, than of wadding and of dead grass. For this beauty, beauty without strength, chokes out life. I want wind to break, scatter these pink stalks, snap off their spiced heads. fling them about with dead leaves, spread the paths with twigs. Limbs broken off trail great pine branches hurled from some far wood right across the melon patch. Break pear and quince, leave half trees torn, twisted, but showing the fight was valiant. Oh, to blot out this garden, to forget, to find a new beauty in some terrible wind-tortured place.
Thank you, Paige. All right, 2 left in this round. I also wanted to thank some other people who make Poetry Out Loud happen, which are the school's teachers. The teachers really take the curriculum, they work with the students one-on-one as a class, whatever it is, but they really spend time devoted to working with students in poetry, and for that I am ever grateful. So thank you, teachers. Let's give a little shout out to them. And also to all the families here in the audience and supporters of these wonderful young people. You also deserve a wonderful thank you for just being here, supporting them, working with them, I'm sure. Funny thing, I asked the students yesterday how many hours do they think that they spent working on their poems, and I got everywhere from 2 hours to too many hours. So they spent a lot of time on it, to say the least. All right. So up next we have Briar Weston, but right now we have Abdurrahman Farah from Uba Medical Academy. Welcome, Abdurrah.
I am offering this poem by Jimmy Santiago Baca. I am offering this poem to you since I have nothing else to give. Keep it like a warm coat when winter comes to cover you, or like a pair of thick socks the cold cannot bite through. I love you. I have nothing else to give you. So it is a pot full of yellow corn to warm your belly in winter. It is a scarf for your head to wear, over your hair to tie up around your face. I love you. Keep it. Treasure this as you would. If you are lost, needing direction, in the wilderness life becomes when mature. And in the corner of your drawer, tucked away like a cabin or Hogan, in dense trees come knocking and I will answer. Give you directions and let you warm yourself by this fire. Rest by this fire and make you feel safe. I love you. It's all I have to give and all anyone needs to live. And to go on living inside when the world outside no longer cares if you live or die. Remember, I love you.
Thank you, Abdurrahman. All right, so after our wonderful Briar goes, we're going to take another break. This time I'll give you 10 minutes just to give a little more extra breathing room. And then we'll come back and announce the 6 finalists who move on to the 3rd round. So, all right. Without further ado, let's welcome Briar Weston to the stage from Great River School.
Silence by Thomas Hood. There is a silence where hath been no sound. There is a silence where no sound may be. In the cold grave under the deep, deep sea, or in the wide desert where no life is found, which hath been mute and still must sleep profound. No voice is hushed, no life treads silently, but clouds and cloudy shadows wander free, that never spoke over the idle ground, but in green ruins, in the desolate walls of antique palaces, where man hath been, though the dun fox or
wild hyena calls, and owls that flit continually between shriek to the echo, and the low winds moan. There, the true silence is. Self-conscious and alone.
Thank you, Briar. Let's do another round of applause for the round 2. Yeah, that's so much to be proud of. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, so we'll be back at 6:45. We'll see you then.